All right, so in this video, I'm going to break down all of the money that I've made in 2020. Firstly, from what used to be my full-time job, working as a junior doctor in the UK's National Health Service. But then I'll also talk about the various different sources of active and passive income in my life from being a YouTuber and the businesses surrounding that. A few caveats before we get started with this. So I am all about transparency and honesty when it comes to money. I think the fact that we as a society treat money as a completely taboo topic and you're not allowed to say how much money you're making and you're not allowed to talk about money, I think that leads to a lot of problems. And actually for me, when I first got started with this whole journey of entrepreneurship and being a creator, it was seeing other people being transparent about how much money they were making and crucially how they were making it that helped me get started on this path. Now, doing a video like this is always going to have its drawbacks. There's kind of two sets of drawbacks. One drawback is for me, because if I talk about how much money I make, I run the risk of looking like a twat. The other drawback is that 2020 has been a difficult year for a lot of people. And so my concern is that if I post a video like this, which some people will interpret as look at me, look how much money I'm making, that when we're in the middle of a global pandemic, when tons of people have lost their jobs and have been struggling financially, feels like it would be in poor taste. And I really wasn't sure whether to post this video or not. But I did a poll on Twitter and Instagram and YouTube, and in all three of those polls, around about 85% of people said that I should post a video, and only about 15% said I shouldn't post it. And to be honest, there was one kind of category of comment that really summed it up. It was that, you know, this sort of video helps and inspires and benefits and educates some people in the world. There are going to be some people who watch a video like this and feel bad about it, but no one is forcing you to watch this video. I trust that you have the self-awareness that if you've been struggling through the pandemic, you probably don't want to watch this video. If you know that looking at someone else's salary and seeing how much money they make is likely to cause you to feel bad, for whatever reason, please don't watch this video. Please consider this your trigger warning up front. The example I like to think of is that I personally don't like watching horror films. I think they're boring and I think no one cares, and I don't understand why people watch horror films because they're just not fun. But I have a choice about whether I want to watch a horror film or not. I would not complain that, oh, why is Netflix still making horror films? Just because I don't want to watch them. Secondly, it's worth addressing why I'm making a video like this. Now, there's two main reasons for it. Number one is because this sort of stuff gets a lot of views. Now, being a YouTuber whose YouTube career is built off of essentially getting views, which is the case for every single YouTuber, we all are doing whatever we can to get views. And I'm open and transparent about money, and I know that this is a topic that's likely to get views because other people are intrigued by this thing. So having owned up to that upfront, hopefully you as the audience won't hold it against me that I'm making a video like this to get views, because that's literally how the game works. Hate the player, don't hate the game. That's not other way around, but whatever. The second reason for making this video is more altruistic. I made a similar video in May of 2020 where I broke down how much money I was making as a doctor and from different sources of passive income in a random week in March. And off the back of that video, I got a lot of views, which was nice. But more importantly, lots and lots of people messaged me on Instagram, Twitter, email, YouTube, whatever, saying that that video inspired them to start their own entrepreneurial or creative journeys. And I personally know at least a dozen people who have started YouTube channels and started making online courses off the back of that video where I showed how much money I was making passively through the stuff that I've been doing over the years. So my hope in making a video like this is that it'll inspire some of you guys to start your own creative / entrepreneurial journeys / to take it more seriously, because you can see kind of what is possible if you seriously pursue trying to make a living on the internet. The final caveat that I'll say before diving into this video, it's going to be a long series of caveats, but it's important. The final caveat is that this takes a lot of work and it takes a lot of time to get right. I have been working on making money on the internet since the age of 12. I am now 26, so for the last 14 years, I've been spending a large amount of my free time trying to do various things on the internet to make money online. When I was in school, I taught myself how to code, and every year, me and my friends would try and come up with a new business idea and build a website around it, and every single year, all of those things failed. And on top of that, I started working as a freelance graphic designer and web designer. I was making like a few tens of dollars like here and there from hours and hours and hours of my own time, helping other people build their websites. Now, for about 7 years, none of this stuff really made any real money. But when I was 19 and I was in my second year of med school, I built a business. And that was the first thing that I've done that ever succeeded. And it succeeded really well. But I think a big part of why it succeeded, firstly, was luck. Secondly, was lots of unfair advantages that I had. But thirdly, it was the fact that I had been trying to do this business thing for a solid 7 years before then. So none of this is an overnight success. This business was successful for several years, and then in 2017, in my 5th year of medical school, I started my YouTube channel. And again, that was a long and hard slog. It took me 52 videos to hit my first 1,000 subscribers. I did not make any money in basically the first year of putting out two YouTube videos every single week for a whole year. And on YouTube, for the last 3.5 years, I've basically been publishing 2 videos a week on average every single week without taking a break at all. I think there was 1 week, I think like Christmas of 2018, where I took a break from publishing for a week. So why am I saying all this stuff? Normally, I don't like talking about this stuff because there are so many different factors that go into something being successful. Luck plays a big part of it, and I've been really lucky. And lots of unfair advantages and privileges are another part of it. But I was talking to some friends of mine, and they said that sometimes, if you're just watching my videos, you don't see the behind the scenes of what is going on. And I might give the impression that actually all of this stuff is really easy. I don't like talking about this because actually it was just fun for me and it was a lot of work, but I considered it fun. And when you consider it fun, it doesn't really feel like work. But I do not want anyone to walk away from this video thinking that getting rich on the internet is like an overnight success thing. This has taken me literally 14 years, this is 14 years of work, kind of getting home from school, getting home from uni, getting home from work, and putting in hours and hours and hours into improving things like design, coding, editing, filming, all of this stuff that has led to this point. So please don't think this is an overnight success story. There is no such thing as an overnight success. It always takes work, and that is going to be a point that I'm going to keep on returning to throughout this video. That if you seriously want to get to this level, or even more, or even less, of making money online, you have to put in large amounts of work over a very long period of time. But the good news is that all this is really, really fun, so it won't feel like work, hopefully. All right, with all of that caveating and virtue signaling out of the way, let's now break down all the various sources of income in my life, starting with my salary of being a junior doctor. So I graduated from medical school in July of 2018, and I was working full-time as a doctor in the UK's National Health Service from August of 2018 through to August of 2020. And now, as of December 2020, I've been unemployed for 4 months in that I've taken a 1-year break from full-time medicine so that I could do this internet stuff. I was intending to travel the world, but then the pandemic happened, and so I'm stuck sitting at home in Cambridge making silly internet videos like this one. Anyway, breaking the numbers down from how much I earned this year, I worked full-time as a doctor from January through to the end of July 2020, and so that was 7 months worth of work. And in those 7 months, I earned around about £22,100. I was working as a senior house officer on obstetrics and gynecology, and my average working hours were 46 hours a week on average. Some weeks was more, some weeks was a bit less, but it averaged out to about 46 hours. So if we take that £22,100 and divide it by the 1,288 hours that I spent at work this year, that comes out to an hourly rate of £17 an hour. But if we take commuting into account, I had to drive an hour and back to get to work every single day. And so overall, 10 hours per week of commuting means that it was 280 hours of commuting over the 7 months. And so my total hours kind of getting to work and working were 1,568 hours. And if we calculate the real hourly rate, it ends up being around about £14 an hour. This is before tax. This is before like the petrol cost of going to work back and forth, but round about £14 an hour. This is fine. This is reasonable. It's a very reasonable living to make £14 an hour from working full-time as a junior doctor. And as you know, in the UK, as you get more and more senior, your pay increases a little bit. And to be honest, working as a doctor is quite fun. And I enjoyed it. And I enjoy the commute because I can listen to audiobooks and podcasts. So none of this really felt like any kind of hardship. Now, a few reflections on this point. In the UK, it is very popular for doctors to complain that they don't earn enough money. And yes, if you compare our salaries, if you compare my salary as a doctor to my friends who are the same age, who went to the same university, who studied things like maths or economics or law, who are now working in London doing fancy jobs, working for big law firms or for big investment banks, they're making in the region of, I don't know, £150,000 a year, sometimes even £200,000 a year, sometimes £100,000 a year. Those are the sorts of salaries that you get to in the UK when you have been a fully qualified consultant for many, many, many years, and if you're doing a little bit of private practice. Like the standard salary for a consultant, i.e. a fully qualified doctor who is about age 35 in the UK, is about £100,000. And friends of mine who have like 2 years out of university studying law or economics are making that basically from day one. And so when we compare our salaries to that of our friends, it seems like it's very low, but objectively, doctors are still in the top 20% of earners in the UK. And so it's nothing really to scoff at. I do not want to give the impression in this video or any other time that working as a doctor is like really, really, really hard and like, you know, we're making a sacrifice, because we actually do get paid very reasonably for working as a doctor. Now, the reason I am not personally a huge fan of kind of the full-time medicine thing is usually it leads to reliance on a single source of income. And I think in general, when you're reliant on one thing for like a big chunk of your life or your lifestyle, that is potentially a little bit problematic. At least that's how I see it. And there's a question that I always like to ask doctors when I would hang out with them, being like, hey, if you won the lottery, would you still continue to do medicine? And every time I've asked this question, about half of the people say they would leave medicine completely. In fact, one dude even said he would leave in the middle of the operation. And the other half of people say that, yeah, I'd still do medicine because it's fun, but I would go part-time. And the next question, when I ask, why don't you go part-time now? It's always related to do with money. It's always something like, I've got a mortgage, or I've got bills, or I've got to send the kids to private school, or whatever. And so I've been asking this question to doctors since I was in my first year of med school. And that response made me realize that for me personally, I'm not saying this is true for everyone, but for me personally, I don't want to be in a position where I am doing a job full time and I feel like I have no other options because of the money situation. So ever since my first year of med school, well, and actually from the age of 12 before then, I've been trying to make money online. But when I started asking this question, that was when I really started taking it seriously, because I knew I wanted to get to this point of financial independence. That's not to say that I don't want to be a doctor, because I do. I just want to work as a doctor part-time rather than full-time. I think working 3 days a week as a doctor would be really fun, but working 5 days or 6 days or 7 days a week as a doctor, as fun as the job is, I feel like doing anything for that long runs the risk of burnout and stress and all these different things. And I kind of want to have a bit of a life outside of work. So that was how much money I earned as being a doctor in the UK in 2020, £22,100, which is around about $25,000, something like that. And as you'll see, this makes up a very tiny slice of the overall pie of the money that I've made this year. So now let's move on to the more creator, entrepreneurial, internet ways of making money. The next big source of income in my life and in the life of most YouTubers is Google AdSense, which is basically those 5-second ads that you see on YouTube videos before the video, and sometimes even those little auction banner ads that you see underneath the video. If you want to get started doing this, you need to have 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time on YouTube, which takes a while to get. For example, for me, it took me 52 videos and 6 months to hit 1,000 subscribers. So if you're thinking of getting started on YouTube, then it takes a lot of videos. Let's talk about the numbers now. So in 2017, I was doing YouTube for 6 months, I made 59 videos, and I had 1,600 subscribers by the end of 2017. In total, I made a revenue of £1.76 in 2017. Basically made zero money on YouTube. Then in April of 2018, I turned on the monetization button on my channel because I could and because I knew it was going to make some kind of money. And that year I made 88 videos in 2018, so on average 1.5 videos a week, to make a total of 147 published videos and approximately around 120,000 subscribers. Now this was pretty rapid growth. It's about, I think, 3 times faster than the average person takes to hit 100,000 subscribers. And in 2018, the channel made a total AdSense revenue of £12,329.67. So not quite enough to sustain a full-time living, but coming pretty close to it. And like with all things, these are on an exponential compounding curve, in that the more effort and time you put into it, the more likely you are to succeed over the long term. In 2019, I was a bit of a slacker. I only made 62 videos, which was on average 1 point something a week. Bringing us to a total of 209 videos. And at the end of 2019, I had around 450,000 subscribers. And that year I made an AdSense revenue of £33,186.14. So almost matching what I was earning as a junior doctor working in the UK. 33,000, definitely a full-time living if you're a YouTuber living in the UK. That was in 2019. In 2020, things have been really taking off and things have become particularly insane. So far this year, I've published 98 videos, giving us a total of 307 videos, and I've got just under 1.3 million subscribers as of the time of this recording. This is the 15th of December, and so far my videos have got 57 million views in 2020, and I've made £100,695.12 off of Google AdSense, i.e. those 5-second ads on YouTube so far, and we've still got about 2 weeks left in December, so that might increase it a little bit. This is absolutely insane. This is like an absolute ton of money to be making, and this is how much, kind of to compare it to a doctor, a consultant working full-time who is anywhere between the age of 35 and 65 would be making working in the National Health Service. Let's reflect a little bit on this. So, like every good thing in life, the progress is slow, but if you keep at it consistently over a very long period of time, then things will hopefully start to compound. Like I said, it took me 52 videos to get my first 1,000 subscribers. So if you have started YouTube and you have not yet made 52 videos and you're complaining that you're not yet on 1,000 subscribers, then, that's how long it took for me. And actually mine was twice as fast as the average number of people who do YouTube. In fact, let me go grab the slide. Let's put this number into context as well. So I've recently finished my first cohort of a live online course called the Part-Time YouTuber Academy. And this is a series of slides that we showed people asking the question, how many videos do you need to make to succeed on YouTube? And this is data that comes from TubeBuddy, which is a YouTube Chrome extension thing, and they've analyzed data from millions of channels that they've got access to. So have a think about this. Like, what do you think is the average number of videos that it takes for a YouTube channel to hit 1 million subscribers? Like, genuinely, have a think about it and just come up with a number in your head. The answer is 3,873 videos. What do you think is the average number of videos it takes to hit 100K to 1 million subscribers? Well, TubeBuddy tells us the average number is 1,171 videos. The average channel, which is 10K to 100K subscribers, has 418 videos, and the average channel with 1K to 10K subscribers has 152 videos. 152 videos is the average channel that's between 1K and 10K subscribers. These are the numbers for my channel. So it took me 52 videos to hit 1,000 subscribers, and then 91 to hit 10,000. It took me 92 videos at 10,000, and then 143 videos to hit 100K, 287 videos to hit 1 million, and now we've got like 310, 315, something like that videos on the channel, and things are growing. So if you compare these numbers with the average, my channel grew twice as fast initially as the average, and is now at the point where it's growing 10 times faster than the average, because like everything, things compound over time. So hopefully this gives you an idea, about what it takes on average to get started on YouTube and to achieve kind of this level of numerical success. So if you look at my numbers, they're a lot above average, but it's still quite a large number of videos to get to this point. Now, another thing that we teach on the course, the Part-Time YouTuber Academy, is the 3 factors that it takes to get success on YouTube, although this applies to everything in life, which is that success equals work multiplied by luck multiplied by unfair advantages. Work in the context of YouTube means consistently putting out tons and tons of content. I've been doing it on average twice a week for the last 3.5 years. If I'd done it 3 times a week, we probably would have grown faster. If I'd done it once a week, we probably would have grown slower. But it does take a consistent level of work. And it's not just about pumping out content, it's about pumping out content and trying to make it as useful as possible. So that involves doing lots of research, figuring out what the audience wants, trying to teach myself lots of different things, trying to present it in like a way that makes sense, trying to get the production value, spending tens of thousands of pounds on camera equipment, spending more than tens of thousands of pounds on like growth coaching and analytics and other people to help consult on the channel and figure out how to make it grow. It involves spending hours and hours and hours watching tons of tutorials about how to edit videos because I knew absolutely nothing about editing before I got started. And later this year, it's involved hiring a team. So now we have 2 full-timers and me and a part-time assistant working to keep this channel running. This is quite a lot of work. It also involves getting home from work each day, hard shift, working as a doctor, #saving lives, whatever you want to call it, and sitting on this desk in front of the computer for like 6 hours every evening, making more videos, writing more videos, even doing some editing now, filming videos, like all of these different things. This is quite a lot of work. If we're asking, is it worth it? The answer is absolutely yes, for me, because I enjoy this stuff. It really doesn't feel like work. And there's a great quote from Naval Ravikant, which is that you want to find something that looks like work to others, but it feels like play to you. And all of this stuff, most of the time, around about 80% of the time, feels more like play to me than it feels like work. And to be honest, if I wasn't enjoying myself, this wouldn't have been worth it. Like I just wouldn't have been able to keep up this level of consistency and this level of output if I wasn't already having fun along the way. And one thing that I always like to keep in mind is this quote from Brandon Sanderson's book, The Stormlight Archive, which is journey before destination. Like the journey is more important than the destination. And if you can enjoy the journey along the way, then everything in life becomes fantastic because you're having loads of fun doing the thing. And then if you're doing it for long enough and consistently enough and stacking up all the different unfair advantages, then you might even succeed on the numerical level if that is what you care about. Let's talk about luck now. So luck is obviously important. I got lucky. I was in the right place at the right time. And the way the YouTube algorithm works is sometimes your video is going to take off and sometimes it's not. And you can never really control this. You just have to put your best into every video and you hope that the algorithm gods will reward you by making a video go viral. But the way I think of it is that there are different types of luck. There is the sheer dumb luck that comes from buying a single lottery ticket and winning it. That is just pure luck. No one could have controlled that. But then there's another sort of luck, which is the sort of luck you get when you put lots of work into something. Like, for example, let's say you, watching this, you were to make it your life's mission that anytime you go out on the streets, when it's not a pandemic, or even when it is, anytime you go out on the streets, you would make it a point to say hello and have a 30-second conversation with every single person that you meet. Then, maybe after a few weeks or months of doing this, maybe you meet someone who happens to be an investor and who wants to invest in your company, or you meet someone who happens to end up being your spouse, or whatever. People might look at that and say, well, you got lucky because you stumbled into the right person at the right time. But in a way, you did make your own luck by just doing this thing a lot of times, and most of those didn't lead to anything, but some of them would. And it's kind of the same when it comes to creating videos on YouTube or building businesses or making content online or writing or anything like this. Like the more stuff you put out into the world, the more you increase your surface area for lucky events to happen to you. And there's a nice quote from Gary Vaynerchuk, which is that it just takes one piece of content to change your life. You just never know which one that's going to be. And so the solution, Gary says, and I agree, is to just keep on pumping out the content and not worrying about the numbers, just trying to make it as good as it can be while having fun along the way. And eventually you'll hit your lucky break. Basically every YouTuber that I know, and including me, it's like, most of our videos get like a baseline level of views, which is on average 20% of your subscriber count. But then very occasionally you will have a video that goes viral somehow, for whatever reason, and then that will bring in loads more people to your channel. So for me earlier this year, it was the video where I just said how I type really fast. That's got like 3.5 million views already. That has been a huge boost to the channel. But like, most of the other sort of 100 videos we published this year haven't done particularly well in terms of the numbers. But you just have to put out tons and tons and tons of videos, keep making them as good as they can be, and eventually you'll get a lucky break. Thirdly, let's talk about unfair advantages. And that's the third component of what makes things successful. And this is pretty common in like the business and startup world. It's like, if you have an idea for a startup, why you? Like, why are you the best placed person to do that particular startup, or reasonably well placed enough to make that startup succeed? And it's the same with YouTube, to be honest. It's like, what are your unfair advantages? What do you bring to the table that others don't necessarily have? You don't really need unfair advantages to start YouTube, and in fact, it shouldn't be a barrier. But if you want to stack the deck in your favor, like I've tried to do for myself and for the people that I help coach in my YouTuber Academy, if you want to stack the deck in your favor, you want to work with your unfair advantages. And so with me, for example, my unfair advantages, other than the huge amounts of privilege I've had in my life, was that I was a medical student, and I was a medical student at Cambridge University, and I could trade off of the brand name of those two things. And so the first videos I started to make were not random videos about productivity. They were videos aimed exclusively at people applying to medical school at Cambridge because I knew I could help them. I knew I could add value to those people. Then I started making interview tips for medical students. I knew a thing or two about interviews. I interviewed like 15 of my friends, and we all gave lots of interview tips, which people seemed to find useful to help them get into med school. Then I started making vlogs about life as a medical student at Cambridge. And again, appealing to that very specific tiny subset of people who were looking to apply to study medicine at Cambridge. This is a tiny, tiny, tiny niche audience, but I was very well placed because I had the unfair advantage that I was in this position, so I could appeal to that particular audience. If I had tried instead to make guitar tutorials, despite being really terrible at guitar, that wouldn't be an unfair advantage. It would be a little bit pointless. I've got friends who've been playing piano for like 15 years. That's an unfair advantage. It's really hard for someone else to compete with you if you've been playing piano for 15 years and you're absolutely sick. So if they were to make piano tutorials, then that would be their unfair advantage. So firstly, I had the medical student and the Cambridge medical student thing going for me. Secondly, my unfair advantage was that I'd been doing this graphic and web design stuff since the age of 12. And so when I started my YouTube channel at the age of like 23, I had 11 years worth of experience making stuff look pretty. And so hopefully things looked reasonably aesthetic straight off the bat. And I had that eye for design, which I developed over 11 years, which was a huge unfair advantage compared to other people who might not have done that. And finally, at that point, I had a successful business that I'd been running for 4 years at that point. And so I could use the money that the business generated to buy fancy camera equipment and lights and microphones and stuff and get the production value right from day one. So again, another complete unfair advantage. And I'm being honest about this because, I don't want to pretend that, as long as you just work hard, you will succeed, because that's a total myth. You do have to work hard. I hate the phrase work hard because it implies this is not like coal mining. It's not like, something that's actually hard. Like working night shifts as a doctor, which is actually hard. This is sitting in front of a computer and making videos. So I really hate the phrase hard work, but you have to put in the work and it's kind of fun. But also there's luck, and also there are unfair advantages. So those are the three factors that I think have contributed to my YouTube channel growing faster than similar sized channels would normally grow. And so if you're thinking of getting started on this journey and you want to get started on YouTube, my advice would be follow this 3-step formula. Make useful videos, publish them once or twice a week, and do this for 2 years. If you can follow those 3 things, I guarantee 100% that your life will completely change. I can't put any numbers on it because there's a dozen different factors that go into the numerical success on YouTube, not the least being lucky breaks in the algorithm. But I can 100% guarantee that if you right now, you decide you want to start a YouTube channel, you make useful videos, i.e. videos that at least one other person finds useful, you publish them once or twice a week, and you do this for 2 years, I 100% guarantee that your life will completely change. And 2 years from now, you're going to send me a thank you email saying, I saw your video talking about how much money you made, and it inspired me to start a YouTube channel, and I've kept at it consistently every week for the last 2 years, and now my life is completely different. Thank you so much. You're going to send me that email. Most of you watching this, you're not going to do it because, well, maybe you don't want to start a YouTube channel, which is fine. But if you do, most people don't stick with it for 2 years. You've just got to do it for a long time. It's just how it works. Now I've got a phone call, so I'm going to see you back in just a moment. All right, we're back. I've had dinner, I've done a live stream, and here we are again at 10:20 p.m. Anyway, let's now talk about the other different sources of monetization for the channel and the business. And to be honest, all of these ones that we're now going to talk about are related directly to the fact that I've been pumping out 2 videos a week on YouTube for the last 3.5 years. And the more you kind of do that, the more you then unlock these other different avenues for monetization, and the more those two compound over time. So one of the perks of putting out content regularly, that's hopefully useful, is that over time, you build an audience of people who know, like, and trust you. Now that means that if I am promoting a product, like, I don't know, the paper-like screen protector for the iPad Pro, or the iQ Unix F96 keyboard, or like the analog to-do list from Ugmonk, or like a speaker or a pen or whatever. Anytime I'm promoting something, people, the audience, theoretically are more likely to listen to that recommendation, because hopefully I've built up this bank of goodwill and this bank of people who know, like, and trust me. And therefore a recommendation from me seems and is more sincere than a random recommendation from a random website. And so for my channel and my business, affiliate income makes up a reasonably hefty chunk of it. Now, affiliate income is when, for example, if you want to buy the Paperlike screen protector, you go to paperlike.com/LA. And if you buy it using that particular link, then I will get a certain percentage kickback on the sale of that product. If you check out my affiliate link for this keyboard, I will get a certain kickback. And this all starts off very small. Like at the start, when you don't have much of an audience and you use an Amazon affiliate link, you'll make maybe 1 penny or 2 pennies. But when you have a large audience and you start kind of getting affiliate links for products that cost more than just a few pounds, and this costs a few hundred, this costs like 30 euros, this stuff really starts to add up over time. So for me, I've got affiliate partnerships with lots of different companies, and there are 5 in particular that are particularly successful. Number 1 is Paperlike. Number 2 is iQ Unix. Number 3 is Epidemic Sound, the guys who I use to get my music for these YouTube videos. Number 4 is Amazon, because Amazon has the world's largest affiliate program. And number 5 is actually an online course called Building a Second Brain that's run by my friend Tiago Forte, which I promoted through an affiliate link earlier this year when I was an alumni mentor for the course. Now, I'm not going to break down how much of this comes from each of these different sources, because that would probably be a bit unfair on these companies, but between these 5 different affiliate partnerships, in total, in 2020, I've made £132,471. This is not bad at all. This is a hell of a lot of money. That's over £10,000 a month, so over $13,000 a month, just from occasionally plugging like this thing or this keyboard. I mean, like, I've made 1 video about this keyboard. I have not even made a video about the screen protector this year. I've never made a video about Epidemic Sound. I made 2 videos about Building a Second Brain, and I've never once made a video specifically plugging an Amazon product. But because I use these things on a daily basis and people see that I use these things, and I have links in my video description that have links to these things, it just means that over time, as you have a very big audience, then this affiliate income really starts to add up. Bear in mind that this does take ages to get started. So for example, in my first year on YouTube, I made absolutely nothing from affiliates. In my second year of YouTube, I made a few £1,000s from affiliates. And it's only in my third year and beyond on YouTube that this affiliate income has actually started to get to be an interesting large number. How do you get started? If you want to build affiliate income, well, it's the same thing, the same 3-step process as I discussed before. Create useful content, put it out once or twice a week, do this for 2 years. If you do those 3 steps, I guarantee you will have an audience of people that know, like, and trust you. And then you can start plugging your affiliate wares and you'll start making reasonable amounts of money from those, hopefully. If you want to get started with affiliate programs, the easiest one to sign up for is Amazon Associates. Basically anyone can sign up for this, and then you get like 2 or 3% commission on every sale that someone makes on Amazon using your link, which is quite nice. Let's now talk sponsorships. Now, I got my very first sponsorship or brand deal, which is like, it feels like the holy grail for YouTubers. I got my very first one in July 2018, which was a whole 1 year after I started producing videos on YouTube. And at that point, I had 120 videos and 50,000 subscribers. Again, this is a very long game. Occasionally I get emails from, YouTubers starting out saying, hey, how do I get my first brand deal? And my answer is always like, look, first make 120 videos and then worry about getting your first brand deal, because this is all a long game. This is a marathon, it's not a sprint. So for me, in 2017, I made absolutely nothing from sponsors. In fact, overall in 2017, I lost a few £1,000s because I was buying camera gear and stuff. In 2018, I made £5,700 from sponsors. It was meant to be an extra £3,000, but I did 3 brand deals for £1,000 each. And the influencer marketing middleman company that gave me those 3 brand deals actually went out of business, and I got a letter in the post saying they were in liquidation. And so I never got any of that money. So 5,700 in 2018. 2019 was pretty good. In 2019, I made £31,000 from sponsorships. £31,000 is a reasonable full-time salary. But as I'm going to keep coming back to, it took 2.5 years of making 2 videos every week to get to the point where I was making a full-time salary off of brand deals on YouTube. How do you get started with doing the same thing? Well, again, as usual, just create valuable content or useful content, put it out once or twice a week, and do it for 2 years. And then you'll get the sponsorship deals rolling in. You won't even have to worry about it. 2020 has been a particularly interesting year because I joined an agency called Standard towards the end of 2019. Now this agency, Standard, is amazing. It represents about 100 different educational-ish creators, and Thomas Frank actually introduced me to the agency when we first had a chat. And other people part of this agency are my friends Simon Clark and Rohin, Medlife Crisis, and Legal Eagle and Wendover Productions, and all these, there's a lot of cool people in this agency, and it's been really nice to be part of. But the cool thing about being part of an agency, and when you're starting out on YouTube, you really don't have to worry about this, but like 3.5 years in now, when you're part of an agency, Standard is amazing because they just source sponsorships and brand deals, and we work with basically the same brands, but they've got enough of a budget, and the videos and the advertising spots perform well enough that, at least for my channel, they keep on coming back and want to sponsor more and more videos, which is fantastic. And so now I work with like a very small number of brands, but fairly regularly, like Notion and Skillshare and Brilliant and CuriosityStream, and there's probably a few more that I'm forgetting. But yeah, there's like very few brands, and it's just kind of week after week that we get the sponsorship deals from them. Now, I can't tell you how much money I've made specifically from sponsorships because I'm still working with them and it's against the terms of my contract or something like that. It probably is. I haven't really read it that carefully. But I can give you some rough numbers based on public domain information. So if we look at the website Grapevine Logic, they have a blog post where they explain that if you're a YouTuber, if you're deciding how much to charge for a brand deal, usually you go between $20 and $30 CPM. CPM means cost per meal or cost per 1,000 views. And so at the lower end, a YouTuber would theoretically charge $20 per 1,000 views. And at the higher end, you'd theoretically charge around $30 for 1,000 views. How many views does the average YouTuber get? Well, if you look at a lot of different sources online, they would say that the average YouTube channel can expect to get about 20% of their subscriber count in views for each video on average. And so if you have 100,000 subscribers, you can expect-ish to get 20,000 views per video. 500,000 subscribers and you get 100,000 views per video. My average subscriber count this year has been around about 800,000 subscribers. So if we use this 20% calculation, that means theoretically, on average, my videos are getting 160,000 views. And if we apply the $20 to $30 CPM range, that means for each sponsored video, I would make $3,200 to $4,800 again, if we're using this broad general data. If you look back at my channel, I've been doing sponsored videos most weeks this year. And so let's say 90% of the 52 weeks in 2020, I was doing a sponsored video. That means I have 46 sponsored videos this year. And overall, based on these numbers, that means my channel revenue from sponsored videos is somewhere between $147,200 and $220,800. So somewhere in that ballpark range. Let's call it $180,000 as like a bang in the middle ballpark figure. My actual numbers are different to that in certain ways, but again, I'm not going to disclose those. I'm just giving you this rough ballpark figure so we can use that moving forward based on this public domain data. What does this mean if you're a beginner YouTuber? Well, what this means is that because this is a $10 to sort of $20 to $30 CPM per 1,000 views, basically don't worry about brand deals until you've been making content once or twice a week for 2 years. Because once you've done that, then you'll have enough views on your stuff. And you'll hopefully have built an audience of people who know, like, and trust you, so that when you plug Squarespace or Skillshare or Audible or CuriosityStream or Nebula or Brilliant or whatever, those recommendations will be taken seriously by your audience. So if we use $180,000 as a ballpark estimate, convert that into pounds, which is 136,000 pounds, that means the cumulative total is now 22K plus 100K plus 132K from affiliates plus 136K from sponsors, which leads us to 390,000 pounds in overall revenue so far in 2020. Let's now talk about the 2 biggest sources of revenue on the channel. And yet again, these are both associated with just the fact that I've been pumping out 2 videos a week for the last 3.5 years. And like all these things, they compound exponentially over time. And so if you're a beginner, then maybe this is a place you can get to at some point, but you can't get here unless you put in the work of just pumping out video after video after video relentlessly for a solid 3.5 years. And let's start with Skillshare, which is a fantastic way of making money when you have a big audience. Because What is Skillshare? Skillshare, if you haven't heard, is an online platform that it's sort of like Netflix for online courses. And they sponsor some of my videos. They sponsored one like last week, I think. So you as the user, you sign up to pay $10 a month or something. And then depending on how many videos you watch and how much watch time you clock in on Skillshare classes, the people who created those classes, the teachers, they get paid kind of like with Spotify streaming royalties. So for example, on Skillshare, it kind of varies depending on kind of what the different economics are, but each month you can expect to get a few cents per minute of premium watch time. So for every minute that someone watches your thing, you'll make a few cents. Sometimes this varies, like sometimes it's like 1 cent, 2 cents, sometimes it's like 5, 6 cents. It kind of changes depending on various factors. I'll put a link to the blog post on the Skillshare teacher handbook, which fully explains this. So that's one way of making money from Skillshare in terms of watch time. But the other way of making money from Skillshare is to use the Skillshare affiliate program, which is that anytime someone signs up for Skillshare using your special affiliate link, then you make $7 or $10 depending on how early you signed up to this particular affiliate program. So these are my numbers for 2020. In January 2020, I had one class on Skillshare, my video editing class. That month, I made $2,800 from royalties, i.e. watch time, and $300 from affiliate links, which was a total of $3,105.89. In February, it was pretty similar, $2,643 in total, of which $280 came from affiliate sales. Now, right at the end of March was when I released my my second Skillshare class about how to study for exams. And that was on like the final day of March. And so in March, I made $5,680.57. But then because that class was active throughout all of April, at the end of April, my earnings from Skillshare were $29,746.84, of which $9,340 was from the affiliate kind of people signing up to Skillshare using my link, mostly to watch my class. Right at the end of May, I released my class on how to use Anki flashcards again on Skillshare. That was active for the final 2 days of May. And so in May, I made $40,926.99 off of Skillshare. This class was active through all of June. And then at the end of June, I released a productivity Skillshare class. And so in June, we climbed even further to $56,547.21. And since then, in July, September, October, and December, I've released like a productivity class, a stoicism class, and a cooking class. And so this is what the numbers have looked like up until October. July was 62,541. August was 60,582. September was 67,363. October was 66,194. And I would estimate November and December, because the numbers haven't quite been added up yet, I would estimate that that's going to be about 60,000 each for November and December. This is absolutely insane. If we add these numbers up, that means that from Skillshare, watch time and affiliates, i.e. just by virtue of the fact that I've got 7 classes now on Skillshare, in 2020, so far, I've made $515,000. Now, if you had told me this even a year ago, that I'd be making $500,000 from Skillshare by just releasing courses and teaching what I know online, I would have definitely had a stroke, and I would have accused you of trying to kill me or something, because this is just absolutely mental. Let's look at the numbers a little bit more. So if we look, I've got so far, I've got 100,124 students in my class. And those have watched about 8 million minutes of watch time. And by the end of 2020, this will be about 9.5 million minutes of watch time. That means, so it's 100,000 students, each watching on average 90 minutes worth of content. And if we run the numbers on this, that is only about $5 per student in overall revenue. So I've got 100,000 students who've taken my courses. Overall, this year I've made 515,000, therefore around about $5.15 for every student who has taken a course on Skillshare. That's mine. Again, this is not actually how it works. How it actually works is, as I've explained, with the watch time and with the affiliate revenue, but like I'm kind of averaging these numbers overall. And it kind of shows that a platform like Skillshare, you can make a lot of money on Skillshare, but only if you have a very large audience, because you don't make that much money for every individual student. Why do I put my courses on Skillshare? Well, because basically they're free for people to watch. Anyone can sign up to a free trial of Skillshare and can watch my courses. And because a lot of my classes on Skillshare are aimed at students, I like the fact that I don't need to charge any real money to students, because like my studying class or my productivity class or my stoicism class, you can all basically take those for free. So Skillshare is a very interesting model, which seems to be profitable for them, even though a lot of people can take the classes for free using the free trial. And if you continue beyond the free trial and it's just like $10 a month, it's actually completely worth it. Now, the takeaway from these numbers should not be, hey, Skillshare is really profitable. Let me go and make a class on Skillshare. Because as I've shown you, like, yes, you can make money on Skillshare. And as they say on the teacher handbook, some of their top teachers are making over $100,000 a year off of Skillshare. But you do need to have large numbers for this to work properly. And I got an email from someone, I talked about the power of Skillshare in my video in May, where I talked about that in that month I earned like $5,000 off of Skillshare. at the end of March. And someone emailed me saying, hey, I've put, you said Skillshare was great and I made a piano class, but only 2 people have watched it. It's like, okay, there is a video up here called How to Make Money Online, the 3 levels. And yes, you can make money online by selling courses, but it's just so much easier when you have an audience of people who know, like, and trust you, who will buy your stuff or will watch your Skillshare classes when you put something out. If you don't have an audience, it's so much harder to get your work out there in front of people, because why would anyone want to buy from you if they don't already know, like, and trust you? Which is why, again, coming back to this, if you actually care about making money online, if you care about replicating the success or whatever you want to call it, the only way to do it really in my book is make useful videos, do it once or twice a week for free on YouTube, and do it for 2 years. And then after 2 years, you can start making Skillshare classes. I made my first Skillshare class in September of 2019, which was 2 and a bit years, like nearly 2.5 years after I started posting videos on YouTube. If I had started Skillshare classes from day one, they would not have been particularly profitable. I probably would have not made very much money on them, even if the classes were really good, because so much of my success on Skillshare and like all of these different platforms comes from the fact that I have this pre-existing audience on YouTube that, again, I've spent the last 3.5 years, two videos every single week, just like banging out, and hopefully these videos are semi-useful. So converting that $515,000 into pounds is £350,000. And if we add all of the things up, that means the total so far is £740,000 for 2020. The final thing I want to talk about, the final source of revenue in this coffin, is my new live online course called the Part-Time YouTuber Academy. Now, I had the idea for this around about August, September time, and it was very kind of loosely in my head. And initially I was going to do this as like a, I was thinking about doing it as a Skillshare class, and or alternatively, I was thinking about just selling it for like $100 or $200 on my own website. And then I spoke to my mates, Tiago Forte and David Perel, who run their own courses called Building a Second Brain and Rite of Passage. Now, both of these courses are very expensive. Building a Second Brain starts at $1,500. Rite of Passage starts at $4,000. And I've taken both of these courses and they're both really, really good. And one of the things that makes them really, really good is the fact that they're live online courses where you're like learning on live Zoom calls. Secondly, there's like a really engaged community of people who are serious about it. And thirdly, these courses are really good because they charge so much money for them. Like, we're no longer in the age where content is the thing that's holding people back. There's like limitless content on the internet now. The thing that stops people from learning on the internet or learning anything is in fact the accountability and the community aspect of things. And so when I spoke to Tiago and David, what they said to me was like, look, you're making this YouTuber Academy thing. Hypothetically, if you were to charge $1,000 for it, how would that change your approach to it? I was like, oh gosh, charging $1,000 for a course? I've never done that before. And I said, okay, if I were to charge $1,000, I would do it live. I would do it over 4 or 6 weeks. I would make sure I'm very, very actively involved in it. And I would do whatever I can to get success for our students. And so thanks to Tiago and David's advice about how to actually make a good online course these days, I decided, you know what, let's try this out as a live cohort. And initially I thought maybe 5 or 10 people would sign up to this course. But in the end, we had 360 paying customers. And the overall revenue from cohort 1 of the course was $294,000, which is £220,000. That is a lot of money. I had no idea it would be this successful in cohort 1. And actually we've just wrapped up last week and we had our after party like yesterday. And we've got so many glowing testimonials of people saying that this course has changed their life and really helped them either improve their YouTube channels or kickstart their YouTube channels. And it's just become a really lovely, wholesome community. And this would not and could not have happened had we not done it as a live course. And I think had we not charged the high prices that we did, we would have had a lot less serious people taking this course. So we're going to run the second cohort in February. Registration for it's open, is now open if you want to check it out, link in the video description. But really the strategy here for this sort of stuff is that this course is the first thing that I've truly charged money for in my entire like online YouTubing career thing. Classes on Skillshare in my book don't really count as charging real money because, anyone can basically sign up to the free trial. And it's like if you have a documentary on Netflix and you say to people, hey, watch my Netflix documentary like Matt D'Avella is doing, you're not really charging the audience for it. They've already got a Netflix subscription and they just happen to be watching your documentary. Equally for affiliate deals, I don't feel like it's me charging the user for the thing. Whereas this is the first time I've actually charged real money for something. And I was really, really, really scared about it initially because I was like, oh my God, is this actually going to be good? Are people actually going to pay? Are they going to have a good time? And for the most part, like 99% of people who've gone through our course have had a fantastic time of it. We've given out like 3 refunds thanks to our kind of no questions asked money back guarantee out of the 400 students in total who've taken this course, which I think is a pretty reasonable rate of doing things. Now, again, obviously the lesson here shouldn't be that, hey, why don't you as watching this video, go and do your own live online course? Because if you've got the audacity to charge several hundred to several $1,000s for a course, people won't just sign up to that for no reason. Like, this is again just a case of if you build an audience over a long period of time, an audience of people who know, like, and trust you, then when you start charging real money for a product which is actually good, people will be happy to pay for that money and will be happy to pay for access to you. And another reason why I was really scared of charging real money for this course is because I didn't quite realize how diverse my audience was. Yes, I saw on the YouTube analytics that actually my videos are popular between like the 25 to 34 age demographic, and mostly in the US and in the UK. But, you know, a 35-year-old in the US is not the sort of person, you know, who has money to spend on this sort of thing and wants to take YouTube seriously and wants to use it as a business. That sort of person is not the same person who's commenting on my videos. The people who comment on my videos are a very, very different demographic to the people who I'm aiming this course at. If you're watching at the end of this and you are, for example, under the age of 18, this course is not aimed at you. It is not for you. Like, you might be annoyed. Oh my God, how can you possibly charge $1,000 for a course? Like, it's actually not for you. It's for people who want to treat YouTube as a business and who want to invest in it and take it seriously. And actually, like, half of the people on the course had pre-existing profitable businesses on the side, and they want to use YouTube to grow their business. That is a very different market to a 16-year-old student from Pakistan watching this channel and thinking, oh my God, I can't believe Ali has the audacity to charge real money for something. And it took this experience of running this course to help me really appreciate this. And now I'm totally okay with charging large amounts of money, because I know that the more money people pay for something, the more likely they are to actually take action and actually do it. Like, if a course is free, basically no one is going to go through it, because it's like, oh, it's just free content. It's a commodity at that point. Whereas if it's a premium experience, people are paying a hell of a lot of money for it, and they have intimate access to me, my team, and the community. That is what really gets people results. So overall revenue from the course so far has been £220,000. And so overall, that brings us to a total revenue of £960,000 for 2020. And I thought this was going to be where it ends. And I was like, oh, we're not going to hit that million mark. But in the final week of the course, we had tons and tons and tons of students who were part of the course saying that they just loved it so much, and they loved the community and the accountability, and they wanted a way to keep it going. And so after doing lots of discussions with the team, we decided to make like an alumni inner circle membership program where we charge students $50 a month to sign up to this membership program. And that is like a community. It's like monthly coaching calls with me, and it's like guest workshops with the team, and it's like a load of content and like weekly events. And in fact, we've got daily Zoom calls, co-working sessions, and homework club. And we've got like a whole load of stuff, and we're charging people $50 a month for it, which is like a complete no-brainer. It's like so worth it in terms of the value that people are getting from this. And actually in the last few days, we have launched this Inner Circle membership program. And actually we have 124 members, and overall we've made $71,400 from the first cohort of people who've signed up to the annual membership for this Inner Circle thing as a way of continuing their YouTubing journey. Which means that adding up all of these numbers, my overall revenue for 2020 for the business has been £22,100 from my full-time salary as a doctor for 7 months, £100,000 from Google AdSense, £132,000 from affiliates, £136,000 or thereabouts from sponsors, £350,000 from Skillshare, $220,000 from the first cohort of the Part-Time YouTuber Academy, and £53,000 from the first cohort of the Inner Circle signing up to annual memberships, which brings us to an overall grand total of £1,013,000, which for the Americans among us is 1.362 million US dollars. Yeah, like this is just absolutely absurd. It's just absolutely mental. Never in a million years did I think a YouTube channel and like, you know, the courses around it would make £1 million a year or $1 million a year. It just seemed completely insane. But over the last year, as the channel has grown, as the team has expanded, and as I've made lots of friends over the internet who are also making this level, if not more than this, in terms of money online, it's just, yeah, I don't really know what to say. Partly, thank you to the audience for doing the stuff. Thank you to all the students who've signed up for our stuff. And hopefully you've learned something from this video. Like, I don't really know what else to say. It's just this thing of like, if you care about making money on the internet, then it's just absolutely next level when you can build an audience of people who know, like, and trust you. And if you can just keep on doing this, plugging out useful content for free once or twice a week on YouTube for a period of several years, you too will have an audience of people who know, like, and trust you. I can't promise you'll get these same numbers. These numbers are insane, but I know people who've been doing the same thing who have numbers even higher than this. I've got a friend with 500,000 subscribers who makes £2.5 million a year off of his coaching program. That's pretty insane. You know, there's this whole world of like online entrepreneurship out there for creators. And the really cool thing about this is that there is no real way of selling snake oil. Like, the way to make large amounts of money on the internet is to provide value at scale, because ultimately money is just an exchange of value. And if we think of making money as being an evil thing, then we're never going to make money. But if we think of me as sort of making money as a fair exchange of value or perceived value, which is actually just value, then actually making £1 million a year off of educating people online, I think that's actually pretty reasonable because it shows value creation at scale. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, this really, really, really long video, I'd love it if you can leave a comment with like a clover emoji, just because I want to see how many people got to the end. If you like this video and you're still here, you should definitely check out this video, which talks about the 3 different levels of making money online, which is kind of a more how-to guide to how to get started doing this stuff. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.